Monster skill balancing, modification, and improvement. More info? Can't click on it. Here's a walkthrough of the monster balancing work we will be carrying out soon. This balancing patch will be included in the next update. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you so that we can see. And then let me go to trans.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Crazy, whatever that was. Hey, Nikos, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate that, brother. That scares me every time. All right, let me just flip this around. Let's transform. Let's go to, because you gotta be flip vertical. Why do I always do that? Why do I always do that? Okay, relax. Horizontal. There we go. Now we can see it. Okay. Nikos, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that, brother. All right, let's start. The stats of some monsters will be modified. I don't think they've added this in other balance patches before, which is kind of cool because they're just flat out changing the stats of monsters, because they often, they just introduce monsters and then they don't touch them again. Their stats, at least. So it looks like all of the monsters that are included here just get extra speed for all attributes, which is kind of cool. So the Giant Warrior, the Rune Blacksmith, the Kobold Bomber. Interestingly enough, the Desert Queen, which means that Sekhmet will probably be even faster and Bastet will be even faster. Looks like that the Slayer will also, so looks like Cigar, Carnal, they'll get +3 speed, which is kind of cool. The Druid gets a little faster and the Totemist gets a little bit faster. So honestly, it's interesting that they buffed up all of these units that aren't typically found on Swift. Maybe Sekhmet and Bastet are often found on Swift, but other units, just the ones that they have listed here, typically aren't. But I like that they are just modifying the stats of different monsters, period. Then on to the actual skill balancing of some monsters. Okay, so Wind Zenitsu is going to get a little bit of a nerf, interestingly enough. When you take fatal damage from an enemy's attacks, it nullifies the damage taken and recovers your HP by only now 30%. I like that because it feels like you see a lot of people, and also Koi, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. It feels like when you go up against a Wind Zenitsu that I guess they still can be heal blocked, but that nerf is nice because Wind Zenitsu's feels as if it's a very tough unit to deal with, considering it can't be stunned. It's another family that can't be stunned. So I appreciate them nerfing a unit that I do not have. Polar Queen Dark. The passive reflects... Oh, they buffed a passive. Good. Now reflects 40% of the damage back to the enemy whenever you're attacked. What is with them and reflects? Angela reflects. Now Polar Queen, like Dark Lydia, reflects even more, which is kind of insane. But I don't know. I feel indifferent when they buff and sort of nerf L&D units because not everybody has them. So the statistic and possibility that you're going to come across them feels not great. I feel like a buff like this changes higher level, like G1, G2 play. Happy Memorial Day, Chrissy. Thanks for popping in. And Jin, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Shadowcaster. Now, I'm interested in this one because Water Shadowcaster is a unit I have and I actually like a lot. So they're just fully adding an effect which recovers your HP by 50% of the damage dealt when counteracting. But that's only for Shadow of a Right Arm. So it sounds like Shadowcaster's the Shadow Within Me passive skill 2 will add 50%. So you have to skill 2. It just isn't a flat out HP addition, which, okay, all right. Yeah, Monado in RTA feels very unique to like cleave comps, or if you have the ability to bring like an Irene, something that puts threat state. But I don't know if that's enough to make Monado much more usable in RTA. But I like it because I have it. The Dark Shadowcaster is interesting. So they change the passive. And as is, it casts a shadow trap on the target after you attack the enemy on your turn. The target with the shadow trap gets its attack speed decreased by 40%, and your attack speed gets faster by the reduced attack speed. They're changing it to cast a shadow on the target if you attack the enemy on your turn and absorb the attack bar. The target, it absorbs the attack bar of 50%. If the target with the shadow trap gains a turn, you will gain the turn instead. Oh, wow. And it can be on 2 targets at the same time. Holy shit. So I wonder if this works with something like Tomoe or Dark Yennefer, or Fire Yennefer that moves passives around or moves debuffs around. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Option repurchase. Thank you, Wally. Minato will now run on a full damage set or a tanky and high attack damage despair set. I like that. I honestly would like to make my Minato a little bit more powerful. They changed the light shadow caster, so now the infinity shadow, the effect changed. It used to remove one beneficial effect, but now it steals one beneficial effect. That's something it feels like they've included in a few more units over the past, like, few updates or few collaborations, because also, like, Fire Megami steals beneficial effects now, so interesting that they would just keep that going. But like I said, I don't know about the light and dark buffs / nerfs because you just don't run into these units too often. Both Sky Dancers now get some of their effects and their percentage change. Okay, interestingly enough. The Dark Pudding Princess, who you never see, absorbs attack bar now by 25%. So that feels like a considerable change to bring her more into RTA. But again, I don't know what else she does that would make her that much better. So, okay, the Wind Devil Maiden. So Layla's passive is going to change. It increases your attack bar by 10% to 20% whenever the enemy is granted with harmful effects. Wow. Okay, so she's just getting a full-on buff to her attack bar gain, which is nice, and she goes well with other units that strip as well. She's still heavily countered by hay, even with the absorb. Yeah, we got a little midday stream now that it's Memorial Day and we're off. And Wally and I were talking. I'm going to start trying to stream a little bit in the morning too, before my real life job. Okay, so they changed a bunch of stuff about... I'm not going to go through every single unit for JJK, but I am happy that they introduced, or every collab monster, because they introduced a bunch of things that now change them. The ones I'm most interested in from what I've seen are the Water Nobara, because I would like to use that unit for Siege, and it's kind of cool. So its percent changes now. Each hit has an 80% chance to block enemies from removing harmful attacks for 2 turns, but it drops to 50% chance to block enemies from removing harmful effects and grants suppression for 1 turn. I actually like that a lot for Siege, because if you're able to create a tanky water unit from the Nobara, then I think that means you would be able to it would be able to tank, or it would be able to be a good tank in Siege. So I like the Exorcist Association Hunters. They're changing everything about the elemental fire, wind, and light for Nezuko. Okay, so it blocks enemy from removing harmful effects, turns into a silence. All right, an AoE silence never hurts anybody, so that seems like a buff to me. That's some masterclass level cooking right there with Nobara. I like that a lot, because suppression is a very cool debuff that doesn't feel like everybody has. You know what I mean? So the few units that can do it, I'm thinking of like the Anyamuji, and the oh no, that's about it. That's all I can think of right now. Let's see, anything crazy? Sun Halo Dragon, Tanjiro. Looks like they just made some changes surrounding the collab units, so I'll take it. All right, now they're changing the on Miyuji's wind. Oh, you're right. Light Hacker does do that too, though. So they're changing her passive. Increases. This is crazy. This really makes me want to use wind Giyu in RTA, because increasing the skill activation rate by 20% whenever you attack the suppressed monster. I mean, if your Giyu has enough accuracy, that thing is just going to control the hell out of your team. Looks like they changed for the Fire Art Master as well. I wonder if this is going to make Homeboy a little bit more usable. This attack can't be counterattacked is now increase the attack bar of all allies by 15%. So another unit that could be gone on Swift, perhaps, if it's going to boost up the attack bar of other allies. And then Mookwul, they changed. The selected ally will go under threat state while enemies attack with a single target to 3 turns. Great. Now for skill ups. 3 of the On Miyujis and Light Hacker. You're right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Okay, now the Fire Dokubi Lord inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns whenever you attack the enemy. That's wild. Hell yeah. They wow. So they buffed. It looks like this kind of is a buff from Fire Mage as well. Giyu will now have 100% defense break on skill 1. Wow. I have to use her for RTA. I have to. We're going to cook. Chat and I, we're going to cook once we get the chance. Do I care about any of the 4-star units here? Yeah, I guess Pirate Captain Water now leaves a branding effect on Pirate Strike. Is Pirate Strike his second? So pushback and leaves a branding effect, and he has the ability to defense break? That's kind of nuts. Okay. I would say overall, balancing a little underwhelming. I would like to have seen an Angela nerf, as well as a couple other units be nerfed as well, but what do I know? So yeah, let me know what you think about the monster skill balancing patch that we've waited so patiently for.